Hello world of YouTube and welcome to another episode of Viral's Movie Reviews, where I review movies that you guys suggest, I go to the movies to see, or I feel like discussing. Today I'm going to be talking about the newest Queen biopic, Bohemian Rhapsody. Directed by Bryan Singer, written by Anthony McCartan, starring Rami Malek, Lucy Boynton, and a lot of other Queen lookalikes. Story follows the rise of Queen through the eyes of Freddie Mercury. He is a big focus of the film, and that makes sense because he was always shrouded in mystery to some degree. His life was. He was always known as an eccentric gentleman. But I don't mind that they pulled away from that to also focus on the band, their growth, their humble beginnings, and capping off with their giant Live Aid performance. I think that this film felt respectfully done. I know that there was a lot of trouble behind the scenes of this film with the making of it. Sacha Baron Cohen was originally supposed to play Freddie Mercury, which is a dead ringer. I would have loved to have seen that version of this film, but he left because he wanted it to be more focused on Freddie, which also makes sense. But the final product is pretty solid. I really enjoyed this film. You know, I always liked Queen's music. I think there's a lot of people that are in the same boat. I think that they have a mildly inconsistent discography, but their hits have always been magnificent, you know, and I like what this film is built around. I like the parts of the band's career they really wanted to focus on, and I think that it was smartly put together from a accessible standpoint. And by the end of the film, it really focuses a lot on Freddie's life, his struggles he dealt with by the end of his life, and the band themselves kind of falls into the wayside. But again, I think that's kind of the point. You know, the poster is of Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury. Freddie Mercury was a very focal part of the band, stage-wise. He was a huge presence. No discredit to the rest of the members of Queen and the performances in the film. I think that they are a very good band. And I was having this discussion with somebody on the flight back from Virginia where I saw this movie, and you know, Queen is a great set of players. When they started off, it was Brian May and Roger Taylor, who are great members. You know, Roger Taylor is a hell of a drummer, and Brian May can fucking shred like nobody's business. But I think that Freddie helped enhance their playing in a way that was essential to the band's success. Same with John Deacon, the bassist, who joined after Freddie joined. But I don't want to get too much into Queen's music. I'm just saying that it makes sense that they focused a lot on Freddie because he was such a shining star amongst a band of stars. You know, a band of great players. And I think that this film does a good job at feeling real. Like, it really, I feel like you could really feel the camaraderie of the guys in the band. I think the writing helps with that. I think that every actor who's playing a band member really does a great job at making it feel like a family, like the band wanted to be. You know, I think Gwendolyn Lee, who looks just like Brian May, like it's fucking astonishing how scary that guy looks like Brian May, and how Ben Hardy looks like Roger Taylor. You know, I think they're spitting images of those guys, which was great on the casting job, but also their acting is really compelling in this film. As far as the direction goes, I know there was shakeups behind the scenes of that as well. I think the direction's great. I think the camera work in this film is fantastic. I think there's a lot of stylish shots. I think this gets a little lavish with its filmmaking, but I think that's kind of the point, because again, Queen was a very lavish band. They like to indulge in their own passions. Bohemian Rhapsody itself feels like a passion project song, and I feel like it nails the mark in the same way that the song Bohemian Rhapsody nails its mark sonically. The camera work in this is very sleek, and it's a well put together movie. I really enjoyed this thing. It's not the best biopic I've seen. I feel like its last third and its first third are kind of its highlighted points. The only best part about the second act is the Bohemian Rhapsody section. which is great. I fucking love that sequence of them making that song. In fact, I think the scenes with them discussing how to put together A Night at the Opera is just fucking great. And A Night at the Opera is my favorite Queen album, so you know. But between that, it gets a little, I don't want to say lost, but it feels a little directionless at that point, which I guess may be kind of the point, because that was the point of the band's career where things kind of started to feel a little directionless. But the start, Bohemian Rhapsody, and the very end with the Live Aid stuff were the best parts of the film, I feel like, especially the Live Aid stuff. It's a powerful film, it's an emotional film, and I feel like if you like Queen, see this movie if you haven't already. If you like biopics, this isn't a bad one to watch, because I do think that it doesn't do what some biopics do, and that's pick a side. It doesn't try to manipulate the listener. You know, I know that there's some outcry against this film because they don't focus enough on the sexuality of Freddie Mercury, and I feel like I could see the argument for that, but the movie is also not just about Freddie Mercury. They delve into that, they talk about that, there's scenes with Freddie and his wife, and Freddie and his lovers, and they talk about that pretty heavily at some points, and I feel like the focus of that was well done, and I feel like it wasn't excessive, and it didn't detract from the story of Queen. But I could see the argument made for not liking the film in that regard, and I respect that wholeheartedly. But myself, I enjoyed it. I give it a 7 out of 10. Again, I've seen worse biopics. Obviously, the soundtrack's great because it's all Queen, and I like that they picked mostly hits, but there's a couple moments where they did some lesser-known Queen cuts, and I really appreciated that. Great film. Go see it if you haven't seen it, haven't had the chance to. And I'm going to get out of here. If you have a movie you'd like for me to discuss on the channel, feel free to leave some in the comments below. What did you think of this movie? I've been ViralRak. You guys have good days, lives, and situations, and I'll see you another day.